joined by my colleagues, Council Members Rue, Buscaino, Martinez, and O'Farrell. Unless there is an objection from my colleagues, I'd like to move items, well, actually, we have speaker comments on? Yeah. Okay. We have some multiple speaker item, but after those, if we're willing, we're going to suggest that we move 3, 7, and 8 on consent. And I'm also going to suggest, after our multiple speaker card items, that we continue items 2 and 3 and 5, has been requested for various reasons. So before we move on to the formal agenda, I'm going to hand the gavel over to Mr. Rue, and if you could call on me at the podium.
Thank you. Yes, we are going to go a little bit off script here for a special presentation from Councilmember Bob Blumenfield, and I yield the floor to Councilmember Bob Blumenfield.
Great, thank you. Jennifer, would you come join me here at the podium? It's a little out of character for us here, but to do a presentation in committee. But it's also not often that we have an employee leave such a mark on our city in such a short period of time. And I know you don't like being embarrassed on these things, but you get to hear all about it. So Jennifer Quintanilla, she started her career with the city of LA in May of 2015 in the CAO's office. She later joined the CLA's office and was assigned to Public Works and Gang Reduction in July of 2017. In the short time that she's been here, she was staffing this committee. She has assisted on a variety of policies to maintain our sidewalks, streets, roads, bridges. Her due diligence and attention to detail in drafting motions, notes, and reports has made her a valuable and reliable part of the Public Works and Gang Reduction Committee. And that is an understatement. You really have taken this job above and beyond, and I appreciate it. My staff appreciates it. You really have lent so much to this committee, and we are incredibly grateful and indebted to your work there. You've developed a strong working relationship with all of us here. We're always confident that the work you do is of the highest quality. You've been a wonderful representative for the CLA's office. You embody the passion and care for this city, and your departure will be felt. It will be difficult for us. And while we wish you the best of luck in your future, as you go north, you are going to be very missed. Our loss is Fresno's gain. Now, and clearly you're going to help Fresno a lot. Your husband's going to be working with the U.S. Attorney, and you guys are making a life there. And we just wish you all, as painful as it is for us to lose you, we wish you all the best. Thank you so much. Great. Do you want to say anything? It's up to you.
Sorry, it's really hot in here, and now I'm nervous. Thank you so much. This is very, overwhelming and unexpected. Like the councilman said, I haven't been here incredibly long, but it's been a really great experience, and I've learned a lot from all of you. And I'm so sad that I'm leaving. I saw myself staying here for a very long time, and just this opportunity came up from my husband. And so it's exciting and scary, but it's something that we're going to do. So I'm excited to see what happens, but I'm going to miss all of you, and I appreciate everything that you've taught me and all the experiences I've had here, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Please stick with me. All right. Great. But she doesn't actually leave till Friday, so she's going to help us with our meeting today.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Bloomfield. Turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Rue, for being great vice chair and keeping us going. So now let's move to multiple speaker card items and take care of that. There's no names popping up on my list. I assume that is a mistake. Is there? Oh, here we go. We do have a number of multiple speaker card items. We'll start with Mr. Wayne Spindler. So 2 minutes on the item, and then you'll have 1 minute for a general public comment related to items within the committee's jurisdiction.
Yeah, so definitely good. You're going up to Sacramento County and Fresno up north. You're in trouble, Bob. I'd be erasing those hard drives today. Just a joke. Now, we get to item number 1. Aura Garcia. Yeah, I know her. So we're going to reappoint her. A true human being amongst the city's animals. Yes, in the sea of chaos, we have Aura Garcia, who's been trying as hard as she can to try to find out where all of those fraudulent city contracts are and where all those payoffs are. So she's willing to do it again. That's great. Don't wind up like Joel Jacinto, my good buddy. Please. If they want you to commit a federal crime, do not do so. And also, Mr. Bob, give her outside counsel dealing with federal issues. Yes, that's why Mommy's getting up and walking out. If she would have done so, she wouldn't be under a sealed indictment. So please don't get one of those. It's a bad thing because, not that I know anything about it, I just heard about it. Okay, so now we get the solar and battery storage resiliency program on number 4. It's all fraud, deny it all. The Taylor Yard Project. This will be what sends Mitchell Farrell to prison. The Taylor Yard Project. David Rue's been working to undo the Taylor Yard because he knows that the environmental cleanup is not sufficient to make little kids safe. When they dig in the dirt, they go, "Mommy, I feel sick. Mommy." That's because there's silica dirt and PCBs in the dirt. Please stop poisoning little children. Thank you, Mr. Rue. And now for the general comment. Yes, there's tension in the room. Another staffer is fleeing the county, going north, like Felipe Fuentes did, like Mitchell Englander did. Where do these people go? They go into the hands of the devil. The devil. The devil has a gold badge. The devil has the symbol of the eagle. That is not where you go. Look to the Bible. Look to God. He's the only one who can save you. We are all sinners. It's not okay to do it, but it's not un-okay to do it. Some of us have done more than others. So please remember that when they serve you those indictments, God, if you've done the right thing, will come in and you'll have a motion to dismiss and walk out of there like I did on Thursday. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Antonio Ramirez. Ms. Ramirez, are you here? Antonio Ramirez, let the record reflect, she was called and is not here. The next one is Herman and a bunch of epithets, which he's not here, and several other ones with just racial epithets, which are all probably Mr. Herman.
Are you allowing him in? I know where he is.
No,
Please, you're disrupting a meeting. Please sit down.
I'm just pointing.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Herman is banned from speaking at any meetings today. He had his second disruption this morning at council.
Okay. So let the record reflect, the 6 times he put his name down, none of them will be heard because he's not allowed in this meeting. Ramirez not here. Mr. Wayne Spindler, critic, I assume is Mr. Herman, but nobody's answering that name. Matt Klink, is there a Matt Klink? Is that a real name? Mr. Matt Klink. M. Greenspan. Mayor Torney Terry. Bunch of racial epithets. Red Chief. Is there someone named Red Chief here? No. Okay, and it's probably, we know some people like to put a lot of names in. And then there is a Patricia for general public comment. Is that a real name? Patricia H. Is there anybody named Patricia H? Let the record reflect, all of the names have been called, and none of the people I called were here. So that concludes multiple comment cards, and general public comment cards. Now, moving on, unless there is an objection from my colleagues, I'd like to move items 3, 7, and 8 on consent. Seeing no objection to that. And I'd also like to continue items. No, wait a second. It says 2 and 3 and 5. Let me look at 3 real quick. Is that being continued or? No, that's the one they want to continue. So we reconsider item 3 and not consider it on consent. Without objection, we'll reconsider it. It's reconsidered. And I'm going to take up items 2, 3, and 5 to be continued. Questions on 8? Okay, we'll vote to reconsider 8. Any objection to reconsidering 8? Seeing no objection, that will be heard. We're gonna then go in consecutive order, but we will hear item 8 for Mr. Buscaino. So that brings us, Mr. Espinosa, to item 1. Correct?
And Mr. Chair, just to clarify, you're taking on consent item number 7 and continuing items number 2, 3, and 5, correct?
Correct. We're taking items 3 and 7 on consent. Oh, no, we're not doing 3. That's right, because that was the public works.
3, I believe you want.
Right. So just number 7 on consent. 8 has been asked to be heard. 3 is going to be continued along with items 2 and 5. Clear? Okay. So if you'd read item 1 into the record, please.
Item number 1 is communications from the mayor and the City Ethics Commission relative to the reappointment of Ms. Ara Garcia to the Board of Public Works.
Okay, we'd like to invite Ms. Garcia to the podium. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, council members.
Good afternoon. So you're up for, you've had a chance to get your feet wet on the filling in of the appointment. Now that you're up for a full term, if you tell us what your biggest accomplishment has been as a Board of Public Works Commissioner and what you hope to achieve if allowed to continue on in this capacity. Please.
Thank you, council members Blumenfield, Buscaino, Councilwoman Martinez, Ryu, and Councilmember Mitchell-Farah, and the rest of our city rep and families. I thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here right in front of you today as I move for my reappointment and consideration for my reappointment. I want to thank everybody for the opportunity and letting me serve the city where I was born, where I was raised, and I continue to live in. And now as a mother, I continue to raise my kids in this beautiful city. I also want to thank Mayor Garcetti and his Chief of Staff, Ana Guerrero, for appointing me to this position in the first place and for reappointing me to this position again. It's an honor really to be here in holding this position, incredible position. I think I'm usually on the other side, so I'm not nervous, but I don't know why I'm so nervous right now. So sorry about that. So
we're glad that you're excited about this work because it is exciting work.
I am very excited. I'm excited and very humbled, honestly, to be representing the city. I don't take this position lightly at all. It's one of the most memorable and most impressive positions that I've ever held, and I will always see it that way. I've gained many new friends among the Public Works Department, and I am eternally grateful for the warm welcoming this past year as we continue to work together. I am also very thankful to my fellow commissioners and Dr. Campos as I sit at that table every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with them being very distinguished and accomplished individuals. I thank you for that. I am the liaison to the Bureau of Street Lighting, where I work closely with Norma Isahakian, and this year we worked very closely on enhancing our co-location program. I've paid attention to our hardship waivers and what's coming into our furniture and our public streets, and I took it upon myself to work closely with making sure our co-location program is the first item that all of our telecommunications look at. I've also dedicated some time to revitalizing the Keep Los Angeles Beautiful affiliation. This is something that has been here for about now 10, 12 years. And so this year I put together, I've now led two community beautification conferences and also 2 big public works community cleanups. However, I think one of my biggest and most proud accomplishments is that I've been able to put a team of grant writers that will help us grant write and fundraise some money in our Keep LA Beautiful. By the way, we have council authority. Just wanted to make sure everybody knows that. We have council authority since 2008 to do that, and so I'm very excited to put that group together because our hope and my hope is to continue to what we are calling Beautify LA. And so what we want to do with our Beautify LA campaign, along with under the Keep Los Angeles Beautiful affiliation, is strategically work with your offices and pinpoint areas that need some beautifying. And we'll come in with our public works bells and whistles that we do come in, and to make sure that we do that and this was working through the Office of Community Beautification. I'm now preparing myself for our second annual Accessing LA event in the San Fernando Valley. Last year was the first time that Accessing LA went to the San Fernando Valley. We had over 400 attendees last year at CSUN, and I intend to do the same this year as we continue to flourish and pick up our partnerships. I continue to work with the Japanese Garden and the advisory committee as we work on a transition leadership in that area. And along with all of that, I continue to also, I'm in conversations right now with personnel in the mayor's office to hopefully open pathways to what we're calling a train to place model, where I want to open pathways, training opportunities for entry-level positions in our bureaus. I think a lot of our entry-level positions can be met not only with additional target local hire, but also additional some training and working along with the community colleges with that. And for this, I am very grateful that I'm part of all of this. I was also named ad hoc co-chair for the Business Advisory Committee, along with Commissioner Davis. So we'll be, given the reappointment, I'll be able to restart those business community meetings here at City Hall again. I've done that and tons more, helping community members and navigate through our city system, community groups, and just anybody that needed help here with the city, not just with public works, but just with the entire city family. I take my position very, very serious, and I love representing the community that I represent, the San Fernando Valley, but I was born and raised here in the downtown area, so I know this area very well, and I've also lived in the east area, so I'm kind of from everywhere. This is really, truly the best position that I really hold, and I thank you for your time in helping me be here and helping me succeed in my position too.
Great. Well, thank you for the work that you've already done on behalf of the city, and your enthusiasm and your commitment to this city, and the great work we know you will continue to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And colleagues, are there any questions or comments? Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. Garcia. I think we go back to your Youth Policy Institute days.
Yes.
So we go way back.
Yes.
And you're a believer, you're a doer, you're a strategist, and you just bring such good energy and such wonderful work experience with the grant writing, et cetera. I think you're a real asset to the Board of Public Works Commission, and I couldn't be happier to see you in this position. We're all going to be better off because of what you bring to the table. So thank you so much for serving. I think you're well on your way to your reappointment, as you should be.
Thank you so much.
You.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Well, I don't know if it's a tight vote or not, but I think we're going to go without objection. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Great. Thank you so much. Without objection,
Mr. Chair, if I can, Mr. Chair,
Is
just
an objection? What is it, Mr.
no,
Mosqueda?
Commissioner Garcia, you're surrounded by so much love and support here. Even your fellow commissioners are all here supporting this reappointment. So they're all here. Thank you so much for your.
Yay. Thank you very much. Wow.
They all came out.
Yeah. Well, 1, 2, 3, myself, 4. Yeah, there you go. 4.
Congratulations.
VP over there. Sonia.
Yeah, have a quorum. Do you want to have a meeting?
Yeah, we have
We're not sitting together at all.
And they're all sitting separately from
Yes.
different parts of the room for the
Following
record.
the rules.
because we know that you're the one who brings them all together. So thank you so much,
Thank you.
and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you to all.
All right. So our next item, Mr. Espinosa, I believe, is item 4. Is that correct? If you would read that into the record.
Officer. Item number 4 is a report from the City Administrative Officer relative to the Innovation and Performance Commission Innovation Fund funding for the Solar and Battery Storage Resiliency Program project from the Department of Recreation and Parks.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here in front of you all today. I'm Bianca Swan, Project Coordinator for the Innovation and Performance Commission. The Innovation and Performance Commission is recommending funding for $200,000 for the Solar and Battery Storage Resiliency Program, a partnership with the Department of Recreation and Park and the Department of Water and Power to equip one of the Rec and Park recreation centers with solar panels and a battery storage system to allow the generation of renewable energy for routine and emergency use. I'm joined by members of Rec and Park and DWP who are going to join me at the podium to provide more details in regards to the program.
Thank you and welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, council members. My name is Layla Merciadi. I work for Rec and Parks. We are very excited about this project and very excited about the $200,000 grants. It'll help us move forward with the Green Meadows solar microgrid and battery storage project. This project includes a rooftop solar array, carport solars, a battery storage system, EV chargers, and educational signage for the public. This is the first of its kind, the first project of its kind at RAP. It will enhance our department's resiliency in the event of an emergency, a natural disaster, and high temperature events by providing regenerative solar energy that can be stored in the event such that happens. It will also benefit our department. The $200,000 will directly actually benefit our department in the way that it will fund half of the rooftop solar array that will assist our department in offsetting utility costs at this specific rec center. It will also, all the power generated at this facility will also go towards supporting the local power grid. So the immediate community will directly benefit in the event that the power grid goes out around Green Meadows. It will be additionally supported through the solar system. So thank you. Myself and representatives from DWP are here to assess, answer any questions.
Great. I guess I'll start with a couple of questions. So how is this, and I'm excited about, I'm always a big proponent of solar and trying to be resilient and distributive power. I mean, that's where we have to go for many reasons, including earthquake and disaster safety. How does the technology that's used compare to what's available to the general public? Is there something new about it, or is it off-the-shelf kind of technology?
Great question. First and foremost, my name is Arash Sadie. I'm with the LADWP Solar Program Development Group. Council members, thank you for having me here. So it is unique in a lot of ways. First and foremost, as Layla alluded to, it's the first of its kind, and it's different from other developers of solar in the sense that we can actually dispatch this when we need it the most. It basically helps meet grid needs, so in case there's outages, that facility will remain on, so members of that community will be able to congregate at this gym, be able to stay cool, or if it's an earthquake, they can stay there until the coast is clear. So for a number of reasons, this facility will be able to remain up to 3 days with the grid down, and that's at a 90%.
Doesn't it recharge with the solar, so it
could
go more
correct.
than 3 days? Can it go infinite?
Yeah, so basically, as long as, we have sunlight, assuming, the sunlight's there, we're fine. But worst case scenario, if we have cloud coverage like we're seeing today, we're at 90% availability for 3 days.
And then you mentioned that it will affect the power grid. That implies to me that the energy here would be sent out to the community, or does it stay in the Rec and Parks facility?
Great question. It's actually both. So we have a portion of that solar that's dedicated to behind the meter, which means it'll serve on-site load. It'll help reduce Rec and Parks' electric bill. The second part of that is a utility-built solar, which is basically grid connected, so it's feeding directly back into the grid. The moment there is no frequency, so to say, there's no grid connection, it switches over to feeding that facility solely until the grid responses back.
And that's the solar element.
Correct.
So is that element that's getting fed onto the grid, is that being net metered so that the Rec and Parks bill will go down as well?
Yeah, so the first portion is, yes, so there's an M portion that's helping their bill, and then the other portion is feeding directly back into the grid. So once the grid is out, they're not being charged for any excess.
So they're not actually getting credit though for that second portion. So half of it, and will that cover the entirety of their, is their electric bill going to go down to zero?
The way we've designed the solar, the NEM portion of it will basically zero out their electric bill.
Right. So
They shouldn't have any.
So the only thing that's going back to the grid is the overcapacity. It's not, there's not going to be a situation where, like on my solar bill, where I get, if I don't have enough sun that month, I get a bill from the department, even if I've had overcapacity. So they're going to be at zero at the end of the day for this facility.
Yeah, for the behind the meter portion of their solar. Correct.
Which is the entirety of their bill on that property.
Yeah, for that gymnasium, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so you said it could power beyond the rec facility, the community, for how long could it keep?
So what it does is it powers that entire facility.
Yeah.
So the folks that are in that community can actually congregate to that area.
But it's also powering, it's also being sent back to the grid. So if the power goes out on the grid, it goes out to the, how does it get distributed to the rest of the community?
Basically what it is there's an energy storage system, right? And so the moment the grid is not responsive, that battery kicks in and it starts feeding the facility. So you have critical load panels that are being fed, but also just lighting and other aspects of the facility. As far as the solar, the same thing goes, right? So as long as there's solar production, it feeds directly back into the facility.
So the only time it's going outside of the facility is when there's excess capacity. So if the grid goes out,
yes,
it's not as if the neighbors are going to get power from this facility.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, that's what I would, and then is this also going to be used to charge electric vehicles?
That is correct. So we've got a slew of different chargers available. We've got level 2 chargers, which are the conventional chargers we're seeing out there, but also the super fast chargers. And one of the ideas was we're seeing a huge uptick of EV purchases in the Watts community. So the idea was we want to make sure these public EV chargers were accessible to the folks there that maybe can't afford to put it at their homes, but can charge at a rec and park facility.
Will the EV chargers cost the consumer any money, or is it going to be free for the consumer?
So the way we've designed it is it's free until we have the low credit fuel credits that's been put in place by the state. So essentially the charger will be installed on our end, and then if in the future Rec and Parks wants to partner up with like an EVgo or another public-private partnership, they can do that as well, and then have like
This is down the road, but you're going to have problems with a few people then taking up the spots the whole time. But that's a problem you can worry about down the road. Colleagues, any questions or comments on it? Mr. O'Farrell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for this presentation. A couple of quick questions. So with this $1.7 million of investment, do you have a sense of when it will pay for itself? You know, the return on the investment and what that modeling could look like?
Sure. As far as the payback period, these come in pretty cost-effective compared to what we're doing out there conventionally through large-scale solar. The other thing about this program is actually it's part of a much larger program, our shared solar program, which helps multifamily residents. So the idea behind that is multifamily residents can actually partake in this program, fix their rate for basically 10 years, and it essentially makes them part of the solar movement without actually physically installing solar. As far as energy storage, it's still a very costly technology. That's on a component that you don't see returns, you know, in the 5-year mark, usually thereafter. But the idea is we want to basically have a slew of these types of projects throughout the city, so now they can become dispatchable units. So we're not relying on coastal plants to basically keep the grid functional. So it's part of a much larger approach to a wires approach to solving the distribution needs.
And is the idea is that since we have so many facilities with flat rooftops, to just put photovoltaic on the rooftops?
That is correct, and we're going a step further with carport solar. So not only does it provide shading, but we'll also put lighting, so it will be an opportunity to prevent any sort of vandalism in that area for the future.
And with these superchargers for the cars, what's the rate of charging a car to, say, 215 miles?
So it all depends on the car, the size of the battery, but usually with a supercharger, you can get away with about 30 to 45-minute charge. That'll get you in that ballpark.
From 0 to 250. Okay, that's great, because the charger that I use downstairs, it's about 25 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So That's good technology. And then lastly, I take back what I said earlier about I hope we have June gloom every day of the year. I take it back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions, colleague? Just one other question on the, are they actually, because when you, at home when you have a solar, if you get a solar battery, and I looked into this at home, DWP doesn't actually let you use that solar battery unless there's a power outage. You know, you have to, basically it's net metering and you can fill up your battery for the times of emergency. But it sounds like this is different in that you're actually, when the sun is not out or at night, you're actually going to be pulling power from the battery to the facility.
That is correct. And so we'll maintain a state of charge, which will make sure that no matter what happens, the facility will be able to be fed by that battery at all times.
So you're just keeping the battery at charge, you're not necessarily feeding off of it. You still have power coming into the facility that's being basically net metered, is that right? So at night, if you flip the light switch on, where's the power coming from?
At night, it's coming from the grid.
From the grid, not from the battery.
Right. So the way we would look at it is we will dispatch that battery on an as-needed basis. There's no need to, because usually the loading at night at a Rec and Park facility is very minimal.
Right.
But generally the way it would work is we would rely on the grid, and then for, to reduce some of the overloading on various transformers, we would then discharge that battery for that
And it's
purpose.
only in the case of a power outage that I guess there's a switch you flip that then you're both feeding the battery from the solar and feeding the facility from.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Are your batteries compared to the Tesla battery? Have you compared those?
We're looking at Tesla, we're looking at all the other vendors, but we're also looking at flow as well. So all technologies are kind of in play right now.
Great. All right, colleagues, seeing no additional questions, I'm going to recommend that we move forward with this item. Seeing no objections, item is approved. Move forward to council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, that takes us to item, Mr. Espinosa, I believe it takes us to item 8. Am I missing anything?
Item number 6.
6, I knew I was missing something. Okay, what am I missing here? Thought we did.
And would you like me to read that into the record?
Oh, 6 needs to be amended, all right? Okay.
Item number 6 is a report from the city engineer relative to the vacation of a portion of the La Cienega Boulevard, southerly of Rycrest Drive. This is an airspace vacation.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Greg Vandergriff. I'm with the Department of Public Works, Bureau of Engineering, Land Development, GIS Division. We'd like to make a technical correction to the item before you. We'd like to correct the city engineer's report dated October 23rd, 2018 to delete conditions 7A, C, D, and E.
Great. Without objection, we'll accept that technical amendment. Mr. Espinosa, do you need me to read that into the record, or you have it? You're good? Okay, so we will approve the item as amended.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. I believe that now takes us to item number 8. So on item number 8, we have a presentation on that?
Yes, item number 8 is a motion from council members Harris, Dawson, and Koretz relative to the city's current illegal dumping fine level and enforcement practices, and to provide effective approaches to modify these practices to reduce illegal dumping. On October 16th, 2018, the Energy, Climate Change, and Environmental Justice Committee approved this matter.
Mr. Buscano, you want?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. No need for a staff presentation. Just in light of some of the investigative report that came to light yesterday in media reports of the cameras and how the cameras have not been installed or mobilized and deployed. So I just want to get a report back in response to that media report on what the department's doing to streamline the bureaucratic red tape on getting these cameras installed. I know they've been effective in Watts. We have one. But citywide, I think it's important in response to this this item before us and looking at enforcement practices and provide effective approaches to modify and get these thugs and knuckleheads who will continue to dump in our city. So that would be a report back if you're okay with that, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. So I think we should amend the motion to include a third bullet of, right now there is two bullets. One is to assess the existing state law and county provisions regarding illegal dumping. The other is to report on the feasibility of creating a reward program, and then adding a third bullet, which is to request a report back on the status of the cameras.
Right. And finding ways to streamline the installation of these cameras.
Okay. With that, seeing no objection or additional comment, that will be the order.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Mr. Espinosa, is that clear of the desk?
Yes, the desk is clear.
Okay. Seeing no other items before this meeting is adjourned.